Hello friends and welcome back. Well, I sat down yesterday to have a good old catch up with you with an open heart. Sitting here sporting a microphone only to find that it wasn't plugged in at the other end. What can you do or say? So if I end up with a blank expression, you'll know it's just a flash of deja vu. I'll be wondering whether I said the same thing earlier in this video or was it yesterday? Anyway, so thought it was a perfect time to have a catch up because we just found out after 3 weeks of lockdown, it has been extended another 2. So I thought I'd better just get used to it and find some fun and interesting things to do to keep myself busy. But to be honest with you, I am a cave cat. Those of you that know me know that has been true for many, many years. So it's not overly painful, although I do miss my favorite cafes and I'm certainly looking forward to the whole neighborhood opening up again. It's just one of those things, right? We have been very, very blessed where I live, to be honest with you. This was more of a preventative measure as poor old Sydney, Australia has copped such a blow with COVID, and it just took one knucklehead to come up here out of lockdown from Sydney to come up to this area and attend some gathering on the beach and brought COVID-19 with him. So we are not inundated with cases, but we're just trying to keep it to a minimum. So I understand what they're trying to do, but I feel a little bit sad for everyone, really. I mean, who wants to be in this situation, right? However, it's, I think, a mighty fine idea to try your very best to bring something positive out of every challenging situation. And so for me, over the past couple of months anyway, I've just been attending to a few of those home projects. You know, when you just think, oh, I must admit I keep putting that aside and I'll get around to it, those kind of things. And that even includes a little painting job, which I'm hoping I can go and pick up some paint today, at least do something constructive with my time and attend to this job. But other than that, I've just been, well, the theme for my life anyway is to simplify. You already know that also. But I feel that in order to keep a positive mind as best as I can, it's just to remind myself of the simple things in life, especially when you're in lockdown. So when you do go for your walk, look at the blue sky, appreciate nature. And what I found was walking consciously, I find my walks now to be more enjoyable than they have been in the past. As an example, I set myself a task to find a new little corner of my neighborhood that I haven't seen before. And it's amazing how you think you know all the streets around the area, and I found so many times it's like, wow, I haven't actually walked down that street. You get in your car or you find yourself jumping on a bike, whatever you do, and take the same route often, I think. It's just habit. And so I've made a conscious effort to really get to know every nook and cranny of the neighborhood. And then I started to flatline a little. So I thought, well, why not walk a little further? Walk to the next suburb and then just go that little bit further. And instead of driving 10 minutes to the beach, why not walk all the way and see how long that takes? On a beautiful winter's day, the weather has been really beautiful. So it has been an absolute delight to go out there and walk, just walk. Listen to a podcast if you don't want to walk with a free mind that can take you to too many places. So all of those little things, those little practices have really helped me keep my head above water. It's just the reminders of all the things you know. And I really had to pay attention to that because I'm not going to lie, I did actually fall into quite a funk. Not long, probably a couple of weeks before we went into lockdown. And then once we went into lockdown itself, that sort of took me down that rabbit hole again where I just felt very, very flat. And I think a lot of that comes out of, and I know you can all relate, it's just very difficult to, well, we can't plan. We can have an ideal in our mind. We can, of course, have a goal. But I think now in this new world in which we live, we have to expect change will be, how can I say this? We have to expect that change may be thrust upon us very unexpectedly. So your plans may not come to fruition as they would have a couple of years ago, where you can more or less guarantee you'll get there. And I'm speaking of even simple things like traveling and certain gatherings and even courses, something that you may wish to put together. All of a sudden there's a limit on how many people and all that kind of stuff. So it's quite challenging to move through this, I think, because we are in maybe the middle phase, and once things settle down a little and we know the new guidelines, well, then we can sort of start afresh. But at the moment, here at least, the guidelines are very muddy, and people are really confused right now. They're like, hang on, you said this, but that doesn't match with that. So I think even our governments are struggling right now. So all I can do is the best I can do for myself at this time. And again, just keep it simple and stay within the realms of logic to at least, a decent degree, and not kind of float off into the ether as I can, because I may find myself falling flat due to disappointment. We're all in the same boat, right? So I'm just saying, I feel like keeping things simple and also really paying attention to health at the moment has helped me a lot. And that is always high on the agenda, don't get me wrong, but I mean paying particular attention and really being extremely conscious. It's a really good time to take stock of how you have been traveling and how you can enhance your experience from here on in, because the world is certainly not going to go back to the way it was. And no matter what, no matter how tough things get, I just think you've got to put that smile on your dial. You've got to open your heart. And, if you close off a little because you're feeling sad or unwell, that's okay. Be really easy on yourself, but just open up again and, of course, reach out to a friend. So I really wanted to say that. I know I've taken up many minutes, but that's more important to me than just talking about a tarot deck, because a lot of people are feeling very, very isolated right now. And I'm speaking from experience, and I know I have wonderful friends around the world, and we're in touch, don't get me wrong, we are in touch very constantly, but nothing beats sitting across a table looking at a fresh face. In reality, like, nothing beats that. And so for people like myself that live on their own, it can be, like, I've got friends just a few blocks away and I haven't seen them in many weeks. It's just truly bizarre. And so I'm still trying to adjust to that new way of being. So other than that, a little project I decided to do to keep myself busy was to set up a little altar, low to the ground, for I am a floor dweller. And the reason I decided to set up this little mini altar is because I spend so much of my time on this side of the house, well, anyway, but especially during the winter months, because it is light and sunny. So the warmth of the winter sun coming through the windows really makes a difference. My sacred space, my little room where I house all my decks and crystals and books and other goodies, is that away. So it's a little cool in that room during winter, but it's glorious during the hot months of summer here. So I decided to set up a low table, and underneath I put a couple of little drawers, like the little canvas square basket. They're not baskets, but the little canvas square cubes that you can buy. And in them I placed journals, a little bit of stationery, things that I was going back and forth into this other room to get constantly. And I would find myself leaving things on my kitchen counter because they're there and they're handy, which wasn't ideal. So now they're all tucked away in this little altar. Perhaps I'll pop a picture up on Instagram at some point soon. It's nothing flash, because the main altar will always remain in my sacred space. But I've been really enjoying it. And I think it's two things. One, it was just a little project to keep things creative and keep myself busy. But also, I do like change. So something new is refreshing for me. And once again, it's where I spend a lot of my time. My little budgerigar is in that area of the house, and he's such a joy to be around. So I'll make a cup of coffee in the morning after I exercise and sit on the floor and draw some cards. And it's working really well. Also, what I decided to do was put a little set of drawers. They're little bamboo drawers. They cost a song, and they're about 15 inches long, 2 drawers about so high. And I thought, ooh, what's going to fit neatly into those drawers? A few tarot decks. So I decided to keep 3 only in those drawers. I have 2 Lenormand decks and 3 oracle decks. Now the oracle decks are small. They're 3 decks that I made myself, one of which I called my Insights Oracle, and I did upload a little walkthrough for you of that. That would be my most recent video, but anyway, if I remember, I'll put it below. But this is the backing that I chose, and what I decided to do was just go and source a whole lot of images, free stock images, and then place a keyword or 3, as you can see, there's meditate, on the images. So I wrote down a list of prompts that I would like to use, but during the process, as I said in my video, images would come along, and I just fell in love with the image and thought, well, that has to be. It is essential that image is a part of the deck. This is one of them, actually. And so I will find a keyword to go with that image. So, oh, this is exactly what I would like right now. Thank you very much. That's image I took myself when I was flying to Bali. And so rather than have it as a deck, I decided to get a little basket from one of my local charity shops for $1 and place all the cards in there. And as you can see, it's kind of like a lucky dip. I like getting in there rather than shuffling, and I will periodically pull them out and shuffle them. But for me, it's more about digging around and, finding 2 or 3 cards to draw. Card for the day, shall I? Card for the day? Card for the day. Oh, this is so true. The road not taken. Speaking of the walks I'm going on, obviously are highly symbolic of life itself. So yeah, I think we're all on the road not taken, quite frankly. But maybe it's reminding me, having said what I just said, to embrace this new way of being. I mean, what else can you do? So that is that. The other deck that I created such a long time ago, I love the backing, but you probably won't see it in this glare, but it's feathers. It's really, really soft and subtle. And with this one, I just decided to place on a plain white card a keyword. And I would often, like this, place them under like a tarot card, so it takes up no room at all. But then it got to the point where I stopped using it. I don't know why, I just didn't feel compelled to pick the deck up, and I thought, well, something has to be done. So I decided to do what I did on the prototype. I actually made this deck using art paper, thick art paper, when I was on my friend's farm, and I had I brought 2 tarot decks, I brought no oracle, and I thought, gee, I wish I did. And so the township is quite a drive away, so I decided to use what I had, and that was some art paper and a couple of Sharpies. And I just drew either a squiggle or a symbol or a drawing of some sort. P.S. I can only draw a stick. Like, I cannot draw to save my life. So it had to be something, when I say symbol, I use that term very loosely, but just something to highlight the card. And you know, it worked. Ever since I did that, it was just a little experiment, once again, a little creative experiment to keep yourself busy one afternoon, and I've been using it non-stop ever since. So I'll give you an example. There is allow. This is one of my favorites. It's now. So I chose gold and black Sharpie with a splash of red from time to time. This is my very childlike prosperity tree, but each branch means something to me. So, you know, it's very, very simple. But I think the whole idea is the fact that I picked the deck up. And, you know, once you sit down and it's that whole thing of creating something yourself. It doesn't matter how good or bad it is. The point is, it means something to you. and you tailor make the deck to suit your needs. And I just found it a little bit of fun. And the challenge that I set myself was not to sit there and think about it, just pick up a card and draw. So there were 2 cards that I thought turned out pretty bad. I'm just not happy with them, but hey, it's 2 cards, get over it, right? This is a thick deck. But these are just the things I decided to do to, again, like reconnect with this particular deck. And I use it all the time. Like there's another one, abuse. It was just like, go for it. What is abuse to me today at this time? Harmony, and this is another one of my favorites for some, I don't know why, but I really like it. Anyway, that is that deck. Can't remember what I called it because I created this about 3 years ago now, but it does the trick. And then the other deck I created last year is quite the opposite. Trying to keep the variety, I decided to go for a multicolored deck and then make this one intentionally wordy. So each card has a keyword and then there's some text to follow. So you can see that was journey, negligence, go for it, move your body. It's very important at the moment. Obstacle, defeated, wait, like that. It just goes on and on. So I enjoyed that. It took me quite a while to complete this deck because I just had to wait for prompts to come to me. And as you can see, there's quite a decent amount of cards. There's the backing, something bright. It's a little lollipop. But once I combine them, because I find them all to have a different voice, yeah, for your daily or weekly spreads, they're wonderful. Often I will choose one each of these, but generally speaking, 2, sometimes 3. It depends on the intuition at the time of this particular deck. And as far as the decks that I'm using quite regularly, well, very regularly at the moment, they are on this little new altar that I told you about. Good old favorite here is, I don't know why, I think I must have had a mishap when I shuffled because there's a whole lot of reversals in this deck. But anyway, I'm speaking of the good old Dirty Pam. You know, the other day I sat there and I thought, I don't even know what this deck's called. I mean, it's the Dirty Pam. It's never going to be anything else. So I had to get the box. And it's so simple. Pamela Coleman Smith, RWS Tarot. But it just doesn't sink in. It's the Dirty Pam. So Kelly Bear, that will never ever die. So yeah, shall I start again? As you know, the Radiant Wise Spirit followed on from this, but I'm kind of chuffed I bought the original. It's just a simple old tuck box. Oh my God, tuck box rage. Gerald, if you happen to see this video. But actually I don't have tuck box rage. I think it's because decks that I'm using regularly are out and tuck box sits on the shelf in sacred space. If I had to, on a daily basis, pull it out of the tuck box, I think I probably would have a decent amount of frustration, but there's just no need. You can see I edged it. It's just to match the back basically, and I'm not going to lie, it's a marker that I already had. And I left the corners square because I think it really suits it. And of course you risk, if you trim the corners here with the corner rounder, you risk clipping some of the text on some of the cards, which I didn't want to do, but the stock is so good. I mean, the corners have never bent or anything like that. So I love Dirty Pam. The other one that I love, I think this is probably the most significant purchase for me over the last couple of years, is the Bright Future Tarot by Saskia Lee. This is available on Etsy and I just love this deck. I've said it 1,000 times or more. I'm not an impulse buyer. I like to sit back and really have a think about anything I buy. And when it comes to tarot decks, it's all about having a working relationship. Yes, of course, I'm not going to buy a deck if I don't like it. The artwork has to mean something. It needs to jump out with open arms. And when it comes to the artwork for this deck, I certainly embraced it immediately, but I still gave myself quite some weeks before I purchased. And let's just say no regrets. It is an RWS based deck, but what I love is it does stray just a little off the path when it comes to, say, characters and their placement and actual scenery. Like here we see just a slight change there with the Eight of Swords. Absolutely beautiful. Let me show you. I like this Emperor too. I find this interesting. But look at the Death card. It's just beautiful. I was hoping to find the Star card. Oh, this is another absolute favourite, the Two of Cups. So the whole point is you can pick this deck up and use it immediately, as long as you're familiar with RWS. Not a problem. You can use it intuitively. Like there's the Temperance card as an example. Look at the colours, they're beautiful. So I love the colour palette. And for me, it's about combination of colour, not simply colour itself. And the artwork I adore. So you can do that. You can also, if you choose, print out a guidebook that Saskia Lee created for you. So you notice that's the Seven of Pence. So I love the subtle differences, and this is one of my favourite hermits ever. Fantastic. So anyway, I have never ever lost, not for a second, my passion for this deck. There's the Star card. Love it. Love it. I'm actually watching a Netflix special on UFOs, aliens and all that stuff as I speak. Anyway, love it. And again, they are different enough to make, to keep life interesting. And the third deck that I am using very regularly is a dear, sweet, adorable deck called the Blooming Cat Tarot by Clever Crow, and I backed this, should I say, on Kickstarter. It took a while to get to us due to COVID, and it was worth the wait. Interestingly, having gone through yet another big personal shift and my tastes changed, my practice changed, I felt like my requirements changed. When I received this deck, I was a little concerned that maybe it's not a deck I need any longer because things had changed so much within, and that ripple effect and all that stuff. So I must admit, I got the deck, I looked through it, loved the artwork, loved the colours, but I just thought it's, and I don't mean this as a complaint, but it's simple. I love the simplicity. The fact that, all right, I've got to get this right. One thing that drew me to this deck is the fact that it is simple and open and inviting and uncomplicated. That's why I bought it, right? Aside from the fact that I love the artwork. But when I did receive the deck, I thought, do I need this deck at this time? So I had a look through, I gave it a hug, and I put it aside because that's my thing. Put it in the trial tray and see how you go. And a couple of months later, it just sprang to my mind. And I thought, okay, that's a little sign. And I picked it up and I thought, I'll just do one spread with it and see how we go. And I have been using it ever since. So I'll show you a few cards. So this is straight RWS. No two ways about it. But again, it features, it has a different voice because it's soft and inviting. And it features cats. And I am a cat lover. I am an animal lover. And this is a sweet deck. And it's my only sweet, adorable deck. But I wouldn't call it cutesy, and that's what I love about it. It's just inviting. It says, look, you have a question, I'll give you an answer. But I'm not here to bop you in the head. There are other decks that can give you that kick that you need. This deck is just simple, effective, and I also invite clients to use this if they are feeling a little fragile, if they're, here for a read, but they feel that sense of hesitation and fear because they've got something big going on. It certainly has helped them through that situation. So I'm very, very pleased that I backed this deck, and I have no regrets at all. And as I say, I'm just, look at this hangman. I'm enjoying it very, very much. That's what I love about tarot. I mean, different artwork certainly does take you to a different place. And for some reason, this is just one of those decks where I will pick it up on the day that I'm not thinking about what I need. I just find myself picking it up, and that's it. Whereas the other decks might be, there's a little more thought that goes into it prior to picking up them. I hope I'm making sense. Anyway, the only other deck I just wanted to share very quickly is recently I attended Kelly Fitzgerald's Lenormand course, which I enjoyed immensely. And prior to that, I did Camellia Elias's course, and they were both incredible. And then I found out that the beautiful Mendy, hello, what's going on there? I'll just do one at a time, shall I? The beautiful Mendy from, well, everyone knows Mendy. She decided to create a little Lenormand deck for herself, and then very kindly made available a certain amount of decks for anyone in the community who wanted to purchase. And I think this is absolutely beautiful. Can I say it again? Colour. But look, seriously, how can you not comment on the chosen colours? And once you lay out a grand tableau, it is absolutely beautiful. And in all honesty, I had 3 other Lenormand decks on my wish list. I don't want too many. I'm actually going to move a few on that I've had for some time. But there were just a few more, like newer decks that I was going to purchase. And now I don't feel like I need any of them. And what I did was I ended up creating a deck for myself, which I haven't printed yet. Once again, just using free stock. So the fact that this is art, and mine's free stock, I think that should, with one other little retro deck that I've got, keep me satisfied for a very long time. Hello, hello, who's this? You know that's Masha's dog, right? Chappie? He's beautiful. I hope I get to meet Chappie one day. Masha lives quite close to me. And I'm very blessed to have her here in this city. I'll just show you a couple more. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Like, I really do. I wouldn't have bought it if I didn't. Something else I did, I reconnected with my charms. Something I have not done for such a long time. And I don't know what happened. Did I stumble upon, excuse me, I stumbled upon, I think something on YouTube. And I thought, oh my goodness, I haven't picked up my charms forever. So I decided to place my most used, like there's a little set here that this is my go-to, and other charms that I've had for a long time are in that particular vessel. And I ended up, now I can't even remember why I was on Udemy. I've heard different pronunciation. And the lovely lady, and I'm so sorry, I cannot think of her name off the top of my head. I should have written it down. But she is on Instagram and YouTube, the Over the Moon Academy. And she actually has a course on Udemy, sorry, correct me if I'm wrong. And it's a very easy to understand, open, friendly, very approachable course on charms using, I think there's 15 all up. And what she's saying is, look, you can use as many charms as you like, but really this is all you need. You'll get everything you need out of this. And I thought, right, that's it. I'm putting all my other charms aside. I'm going to pick the selection that she recommends, and I found it so good. Like, I do believe, I understand what the charms were telling me. It is cleaner and clearer, I will say. I was really, really happy with the results. And so I've been practicing, because that was, oh wow, maybe 5 months ago or so I did that course. Yeah. Anyway, I've decided just recently to add just a few, and I'm practicing. And what inspired me was, I was shopping one day and I happened to stumble upon this little placemat, just for literally a dinner plate. There was only one sitting in this shop, and it was $3. And I thought, ooh, because it's Hessian, it's quite stiff, I thought that might be nice to cast some charms. And because it's got that sort of stiff finish on it, it means that the charms will spread but not sail off into the yonder. I had like a rectangle tray, then I used a round tray, but for some reason I just fell in love with this because it's ever so cute. And I just cut a little piece of felt, which I stick in the middle for, obviously that's the sort of current situation, and then you can divide as you see fit. above, below, past, future, whatever way you want to divide it up. But I really enjoy casting in a circle rather than a square or a rectangle. And that's what I've been practicing with and really enjoying the whole process. So yeah, if you're interested, just look up on, I'll call it Udemy, just look up charm casting and it's right there, and it's very, very reasonably priced, and you get all the information you need, and then you can just take it from there. So that's something that I've really been enjoying. So I think that's about it for me as far as what I've been doing, really keeping to myself, concentrating on a few jobs, a few creative jobs around the house, which I think this is a really good time to attend to them, by the way. I think I said that earlier. There's my deja vu. But those jobs that you push aside, I'm sure I said at the beginning, it's just a good time to, knuckle down without putting yourself under pressure, because I think all of us have enough stress and anxiety at the moment. But that whole thing of making a list and ticking off those jobs, I find really quite thrilling. I'm still in that zone of looking around at what I have, and I must say I'm piling up some donations in the garage as I speak. I'm really excited that, well, I hope in 2 weeks we'll be opening up again, because I want to make some donations to my local charity shops. I love buying from them and then redonating when I no longer need those items. And of course, there's always room for giving away, a piece of clothing or 3. So I'm looking at that. And again, it's not because I'm buying things over and over, which is why I keep donating. In all honesty, I just feel as time goes on, it's very slow but very certain, just reducing the amount of things I have, a little more, a little more, a little more. I feel that the more I do that, the freer I feel in my head. I feel like there's space in there. I just feel weighed down by it all. I feel like it's holding me back. So I sort of feel a little bit like the Fool card. We're approaching this new world, don't even know what's there, which is why we have to be very, very careful that we look where we step. But the whole idea of just having everything I need in my little rucksack, I find highly, highly appealing. The only other thing is I can hear them, sense them and feel them. There are books on my bookcase right there that are going, hey, what's the point of us being here if you're not going to pick us up? Dare I even say Thoth? Should I even mention it? Too late. I love Thoth very, very much, but I've been for 3 years saying, I'm going to study. I'm really going to delve deep this time. And I will pick up a book and I'll start and the flow begins. And then the next thing, I've got my favorite in my hand and all that stuff. And I know you can do both, but I'm just saying, I feel that if I force myself to complete the studies that I have in my mind, it's just going to backfire. I mean, why force yourself if you're not in the right frame of mind for something? Unless it's absolutely necessary, don't do it. Same with Lenormand. I bought my first deck in 2013, and I've had an on-off relationship for a long time, and that's why finally I thought, right, I'm doing Camelia's course and Kelly's. Let's just make it official, and I'm so, so pleased I did. So I'm still very much in that terrain, but I have an inkling, perhaps as spring unfolds, that I might finally recommence a journey with Thoth. So I'm saying it publicly. Wow, maybe that's what I need. Anyway, that's about it. And the only other thing I'll mention is social media. Really still weighing that whole thing up. I love it. I appreciate it. I love to share. I don't do enough here, I know, but this is part of my struggle. I feel like a very, very private person more and more as the weeks progress. But I love to share. It's this push me, pull you. I really adore Instagram. However, it's difficult to keep up. There's so many wonderful people I like to follow, but I just don't want to be one of these screen gazers. And so there are a few options, right? You can follow less people, but it's just difficult. I don't follow people I don't like. And I feel I need to do more. I need to share more frequently and more on Instagram. I'm just, yeah, really struggling. It's either get to it now, especially as spring commences. I think that's a really good time. Make your decision and get going. This is a time to recommence. It's a rebirth. Or just forget it. Just forget it. And every time I push myself to forget it and can the whole thing, I just can't bring myself to do it. So that's a little bit of a tug of war internally for me that is ongoing. But I'm hoping to kind of break through the barriers there and yeah, just get going. So anyway, if you are following me on anything, I just want to say thank you so very much, because this struggle is real. I'm not doing it for fun. Anyway, I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for sitting with me. I hope you're well. I hope you are feeling content and happy despite the current circumstances in which we are all living in and under. So well done to you. Keep it up. And if you need to reach out, hey, I'm always here for chat. So take it easy. All the very best. And don't forget, be you. I think it's so important. There's so much coming at us at the moment, and rules are changing, and this, and circumstances, and blah, 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 and the rug's being pulled from under our feet. Don't forget you. Be you. See you soon. Ciao.